Okay, so differentiation is the process of a teacher finding out what his or her students' needs are and essentially catering and satisfying those needs. There are many paths up the same mountain, and it's your job as a teacher to figure out which students belong on which paths. So this is divided into four different parts. Content is it's all incumbent on you as a teacher. Are you teaching algebra? Are you teaching Grapes of Wrath? What are you teaching and how are you teaching it? Are you teaching it via slideshow? Are you giving a lecture? What does this look like? The process is now you're bringing the students into the fold. So, is there a group activity that you guys are doing? Are you critiquing some of their answers? Maybe you're having them write something on the whiteboard or the chalkboard, and you're kind of educating them in the process. So now it's it takes two to tango essentially. Now we're this is a dual activity. The product now you're shifting it to them, so it's their job now to demonstrate what they just learned. This is done through a rubric, an essay, homework. This is essentially the ball is now in their court. The learning environment is the result. Did it go over well? Are the students in a better place than they were before? Are they discombobulated? Are they worried? Are they confused? So these are all. This is really the end result. It determines whether what you did worked or not. What do I think each area represents and why it's important in education? So this is essentially the process of learning. So most of us at this point in our careers have pretty much done all the schooling that we need to do. So what the process of differentiation is not necessarily the subject matter that you're trying to teach and how you teach it, but it's essentially how we learn what we learn. And I think that's the most important part, is understanding the most about ourselves. And when we understand how we learn, there's likely 10 students that will be teaching that learn the exact same way. And we'll have to figure out the ones that don't learn the same way that we do. So I think it's all the process and the study of cultivating and nourishing that information. Again, with a lion, I'm sure that we all have different ways of studying this information and doing our homework assignments. Some are more successful than others, but it's a lifelong process. So the difference between differentiation and universal design for learning. So I just found that universal design for learning is essentially just differentiation without content. It's really just process, product, and learning environment. We are just it's really the scientific explanation for differentiation. So I'll lift a quote from CAS 2024. The UTL guidelines are organized into three different principles: engagement, representation, and action. That's almost that we're splitting hairs here between this and differentiation. Because if we look at the definition for differentiation, it says how to vary the level of content you present, provide a variety of learning environments, in different ways students can show what they've learned. And this is from Reading Rockets 2024. So that's literally almost the same as the CAS definition for UDL. Um, Again, I think UDL gets a little bit deeper into the weeds with it. They have a couple of maps that show the different areas of the brain that are affected and the way it works. So again, UDL is really just a scientific breakdown of differentiation. Again, it's the same thing minus content. It's really it focuses primarily on the student, where differentiation probably has a little bit more focus on the teacher and their role, but really it underscores the same thing. They overlap and intersect in a lot of different ways. It's your job as a teacher again to make sure you find out who are your bad test takers, who are your kids that have trouble focusing, who are the ones that are going to get everything at a moment's notice, you got to know who these different types of learners are. And our brains are all so different biologically. I think, that's really what these two concepts really underscore. How would I integrate differentiation in UDL principles? So, um, provide specific examples. So, I really want to focus on this one quotation from CAS 2024. It says, these guidelines offer, it's talking about the UDL guidelines. These guidelines offer a set of principal suggestions that can be applied to any discipline or domain to ensure that all learners can access and participate in meaningful, challenging learning opportunities. That was back in 2024. So again, I think for me, what I would do is teach one idea maybe like three separate ways, so maybe start off with a pop quiz that's not graded, and then, go through that, go through the right answers, the wrong answers, then tackle that same subject through a game. Maybe there's some group activity that we could do, and then maybe there's some sort of homework or class project that we do. So essentially, I want to make sure that I'm getting all the different types of learners, not just the bad test takers, not just the overachievers, but I want everyone. So by doing one thing three different ways, I'm able to make sure that I get all these different kids. Because none of us are cookie cutter. We all have different shapes and sizes. And again, our brains are so different that we have to figure out what all the different routes and mediums for teaching are. And to make sure that we're not leaving any students behind. Again, we're always going to have the ones that will excel. Those aren't necessarily the ones we always have to worry about. Sometimes we have to worry about kids that can't focus. We have kids that, get super nervous during a test. So I think it's really important that we understand all these different types of students. And to save embarrassment, it's embarrassing anytime, for a student that doesn't feel like they're fitting into the classroom or they're not keeping up with the coursework. I think avoiding this at all costs is really crucial.